Well, our next session, let me just give an introduction about the next session. Innovating today, sustaining tomorrow. Logistics for global competitiveness. In today's era, where speed, efficiency, sustainability, and technology define success, logistics stands as a backbone of global trade and economic growth. This session, ladies and gentlemen, explores how innovation, digitalization, and green practices are transforming India's logistics landscape, driving global competitiveness and building a resilient, future-ready supply chain. We will hear from industry leaders on cutting-edge technologies, smart and integrated infrastructure, sustainable and cost-efficient solutions, and strategies shaping the logistics of tomorrow. Allow me to invite our distinguished panelists on stage, definitely not without your thunderous round of applause. First on stage, I'd like to invite Mr. Aqil Ashique, CEO, Driver Logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ashique is a visionary supply chain and logistics leader transforming India's logistics landscape. He drives tech-enabled efficiency, serving 8,000 plus pin codes, 44 plus warehouses, and delivering over 1 million packages monthly. Oh, Mr. Aqil Ashique, welcome to the panel. Kindly be seated. Joining him on stage is Mr. Hardik Thacker, Director, Ashuthosh CFS Private Limited. Mr. Thacker drives strategic marketing and technological initiatives across logistics, warehousing, and renewable energy. An SP Jain and Kingston alumnus, he advocates port-led industrialization and rail-based transport reforms in Gujarat. Welcome, Mr. Thacker, and thank you for joining the panel. I would like to once again welcome on stage Captain Alpesh Sharma, Chief Operating Officer, JM Baxi Ports and Terminal. Captain Sharma is a maritime and logistics veteran with 30 plus years of experience, leading operational excellence, end-to-end container and freight solutions, and nationwide supply chain networks, driving innovation, efficiency, and sustainable growth. For the third time today, we have Captain Alpesh Sharma on stage. Moving on to our next panelist on stage, Mr. Devpal Menon, Vice President, AMTOI, and Director, Mercargo Logistics Private Limited. Mr. Menon is a distinguished logistics professional with over 30 years of expertise spanning liner agency, freight forwarding, NEOCC, and project cargo. As Vice President of AMTOI and Chartered Member of CILT, he drives innovation, collaboration, and industry excellence. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege to have you with us, sir. Thank you for joining us. Moving on to our next speaker for the day, Mr. Yash Radia, Director, MPRS Group of Companies. Mr. Yash is a shipping and logistics expert with a strong foundation in maritime law. With extensive experience in global trade, marketing, and strategy, he drives transformative solutions, resilient partnerships, and innovation in the maritime industry. Welcome, Mr. Yash Radia, to our panel today. Moving on to our next panelist, Mr. Jeekshith Shetty, Managing Director, Bhavani Shipping Services Private Limited. Mr. Shetty has 10 plus years of shipping and logistics experience, combining sea and shore expertise. He specializes in container operations, transport, NEOCC, and freight forwarding, leading nationwide and international operations with strong leadership and problem-solving skills. It's an absolute privilege to have you with us. Kindly join the panel. And now, we are honored to have Mr. Xerrxes Master, Managing Director of Master Group of Companies with us today to chair this session and set the tone for the discussions. Mr. Xerrxes Master is a shipping and logistics leader, driving diversified business growth, digital transformation, and industry leadership. He actively contributes to trade associations and community initiatives, fostering innovation and social impact. Mr. Xerrxes Master, the floor is all yours. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm aware that it has been a long day for all of you all, and we still have one more session to go, and it is the close of business time. So our job and our mandate is to keep you awake for the next, what is to come for the evening. I'm also aware that we are running short of time, so we will try to complete it well before our stipulated time. so that we can make up for the lost schedule. Today's topic, and it's quite a long one, so I have to read it out. Innovating today, sustaining tomorrow, logistics for global competitiveness. I think, first of all, we have to understand that the logistics industry is like the jugular vein of the nation. We may not be as glamorous as Bollywood or as exciting as the stock market, but we are the pulse of the nation. And I think that nothing could be proved further than during COVID. Were it not for our industry, the nation would have grinded to a halt. And I think a due recognition has finally been given to our industry. And logistics can only grow and evolve with innovation. We cannot stagnate. We cannot afford to be complacent. Digitization, real-time updates, AI, all these processes to make it more cost-effective, more competitive is the need of the hour. And with it, we have to protect and create an environment for our next gen. Our carbon footprint has to constantly decrease. We have to create a better, greener tomorrow. Otherwise, we will be leaving our next gen with a very, very, very bad legacy. So having said that, and without further ado, I'd like to start the questionnaire. I think everyone has been introduced, all our stalwarts of the industry. They don't need any further introduction. My first question is to Yash. We talked about digital transformation of logistics. There is, I just mentioned AI, IoT, blockchain. We are having smart cities and real-time tracking. We have the government initiatives like the ULIP and NLP. So what's your take on this, and how do you think, are we on the right track? Are we delaying the processes? And what is your view on this particular subject matter?
See, if you talk about AI and IoT and all the new digitized forms of the logistics coming up, first things we have to understand today, logistics, people consider it as a backbone of this of any economy or a trade, okay? But it's not just the backbone, it's the entire nervous system which connects economies, industries, people. And more than moving cargo, today, moving of information about that cargo, that matters a lot. So I think India has been doing a lot of progress when it comes to digitization of logistics. According to me, if you ask me, logistics is all about 3 V's, all right. First thing is virtual, second is velocity, and the third thing is, what do you say? Virtual, velocity, and
variability,
versatility.
Versatility, okay.
So how things can be managed at an faster pace, and equivalently, how things can be, how the information about that cargo can be processed immediately. So the introduction of AI, so AI, it is more of a predictive model. You see, it predicts the demand, it predicts any possible outcomes or problems, as rightly said by Mr. Purohit. By adopting digital twins today at the port, you can foresee what problems, how that can create a congestion, or that can create a halt in the entire turnaround time of movement of cargo. So, and talking about blockchain is all about visibility. Today, I think CMA team is here, Maersk and CMA, everybody, they have started using, electronic BLs. So by electronic BLs, it's just a very, starting phase of blockchain BLs, but, the visibility is absolutely 100% clear over here. There is no possibility of losing of documents or mishandling of information, which it becomes the core today. So yeah.
Thanks. I actually have a follow-up question for Aqil, since you are in that kind of the new age business. It's my observation, I stand to be corrected. All these initiatives by the government, with due respect, it's laudable. But frankly, we are languishing. There are so many things which have come up. We had the PCS, we had the NLP, we had ULIP, we had some other portals coming in. Nothing has actually fructified and created one standard automotive digitization platform which the whole nation can work on. Any views on that?
Hello. Yeah. Since I'm a pro digitization sort of a person, like what I've realized over time, so we've been doing it for past 6-7 years. So initially my thought was, why don't government or one party just come up with one platform, one unified platform, and where everybody can start using it and probably become there is some ideal magical platform. Then over time I realized it's not that easy. Things are much more complex than we think, because when I started understanding the logistics, right, so we do surface 3PL and PTL sort of a thing, where we have sort of, I understand nothing about ports. Do you understand? That means it's an ocean altogether. What I do, I still consider we do is still an ocean for us. And what I've understood is, we still deal with multiple vendors, multiple stakeholders, where each and at different levels, right? Like, you work with large company, there's a huge, large manufacturer, there are a lot of suppliers to them, and then there is finished products that moves from factories to regional hubs to maybe like even hyperlocal small warehouses to even small large warehouses to the final retail point, and then further to the consumer. And then there's so many stakeholders, and how do you expect everybody to come and participate on one platform in one go? Then what I've understood is, obviously there should be a need of a platform where, it can ingest and probably, or, take in and give out seamless information flow, like through APIs or whatever, these sort of things.
So like a like one consolidated platform, that's what you're trying to say?
Sort of, but more like an open source API platform where,
free flow of information and
data. Where,
like
multiple stakeholders can come and participate in it, right? Depending on their maturity, right? And so I believe there's a different level of maturity in the industry. So we cannot expect everybody to be on sort of a level ground in terms of their information or data maturity.
Sure. Okay. Thanks.
See,
so
I
much.
think if I may add in one point here, one thing that the government has realized today, logistics is it should not be a reactive logistics, it should be a proactive logistics. Okay, and along with proactive, it should also be a predictive logistics, and that is how the digital transformation works. So once you know everything with the help of so many tools available today, so many new softwares and so many new technologies available today, the government, or not only the government but the entire chain, all the stakeholders of that chain, they know what is happening, and that will help them foresee what should happen next and make the next move strategically.
Thanks. My next question is for Jeekshith. Jeekshith, we have talked about multimodal connectivity and infrastructure integration. You have government initiatives again, like the PM Gati Shakti plan. The MMLPS or multimodal logistics parks are mushrooming across the country to create a hub and spoke model. We have dedicated freight corridors coming up. But what is your view on that? What is your take? That are we actually making all these initiatives correlated, or are they going in separate directions, which is hampering the actual vision of what we want to achieve?
Good evening, Xerrxes, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Very honestly speaking, the subject of be it Gati Shakti, MMLP, or even the DFC, as someone who's been in the industry for now 17 years, I've heard these names multiple times on multiple forums. But, as a person who's very deeply involved in my own business, I've never taken too much interest into these subjects. And very honestly, I knew there was a panel discussion today, and I would like to thank Mohan Das sir for having me on the panel today, because not only these subjects, I got so educated in so many subjects just because I was on the panel today. So when you talk of, Gati Shakti, I mean, it's remarkable when you go deep into the subject to think in terms of how deep our government went with the thought process. We know about our ministries, we know about our states, we know about our agencies. We are talking about 44 ministries, 36 states, all of them working on one digital platform. In a country like India, that is, if you even pitch this, there will be, I think, 100 of negative comments towards even this idea of having 44 ministries working together. So, for me, when you talk of Gati Shakti, even trying to implement this, it's already a success. I see it as a success. When you talk of the MMLPs, the multimodal logistic park, for me, I always felt our logistic network worked like a relay race, wherein the road passed to the rail passed to the port, but the problem is they were all running on a different track. So what MMLP did is, the idea behind MMLP is to converge all of that at an integration point, and you have the warehouse clusters there, you have the cold chains there, you have the customs there. So what you are doing is basically benefiting the Indian economy by cutting down the cost in terms of the turnaround period and even in terms of the last mile connectivity. Similarly, when you talk of DFC, we all know, I myself being in transport industry, the moment you talk of transport, I think most of the transport industry only cries about drivers. That's a big pain, and the people, in fact, who are coordinating with the transporters are also crying about the drivers.
They're coming to that.
Yeah. So the point is, today DFC, when you talk of the dedicated freight corridor, what you are doing is basically moving the trucks out of the highways, reducing the highway congestion, and transferring the cargo on by cutting down the transit time by 50%, roughly 50%. So I think when you talk of all of these initiatives, I think it's a good integration. Of course, for me, I personally feel Gati Shakti, MMLP, as well as the DFC, the synergy has to be there for it to be a success. But most importantly, I think the users, people like you and me, have to be very closely connected with the government authorities to give them a real-time feedback on what is going wrong and what is going right, what is needed for it to practically work. And I think that has to begin, and I'm seeing that is starting now. And I feel with that initiative in next decade, it will be more, instead of focusing only on infrastructure, I think the focus will also be on integration and improve the efficiency to give that target, like we all have been talking about, bringing down from double digit to single digit.
Thanks a lot, Jeekshith. My next question is to actually Hardik. You run one of the biggest CFSs in the region, and we just talked of the subject matter of sustainability and green logistics. So what are the initiatives you think you are taking as an organization, and what should the industry take to decrease their carbon footprint? And I don't think, frankly, we are yet as conscious or as responsible as people in Europe and US are of this carbon neutralization. ESG has become a buzzword, it has become a business in India, but is actually anyone following it in letter and spirit? So could you comment on that, please?
Good evening, everyone. So like you mentioned that we are not as conscious as the words are going around. If the event was happening in Delhi, I'm sure everyone would have felt and would have been really conscious and really, into sustainability. But if I talk about my organization or logistics as a whole, there are steps being taken, like people on the dais mentioned previously. There is a transition which is happening in front of us. like Yash mentioned about AI. So AI is helping us with route optimization. Uh, there is also a change in the shift towards alternative fuels, such as green hydrogen, ammonia, and methanol. Also, we are sitting in Kandla, so I would like to mention this, that almost 3,400 acres of land has been allotted for green hydrogen in Kandla. And there are multiple players who are planning to establish these plants, such as Reliance and also L&T. So India is targeting to produce 5.5 million tons of green hydrogen by 2030. So we are moving in that direction. Also, if I talk about what initiatives we are taking, so as a CFS, there has to be a responsibility towards the environment. We also are taking that step. We are investing in renewable energy. As we speak, one of our facilities, which is going to be 5 megawatts of renewable solar plant, is coming up, and it should be ready by April this year. We are also investing in technologies which can help us reduce our dependence, or which can help us become more efficient. Just to mention, there's something called as OCR. So it's optical character recognition. It helps you with saving waste moves in a CFS or even an empty container depot. These things help us identify location, it helps us save moves. So these things are happening right now in the industry. I think many players who are sitting here are also investing in such technologies. I think I think it covers most of the points. There's one more point, actually, that one of the depots which we have opened right now in Mundra, which is in partnership with CMSEGM, it's called CCIS. So that has integrated water treatment plants. So there's a lot of water wastage that goes into when containers are repaired or when they are washed for the first mile. And we have integrated treatment plants to reuse that water. It is, I think, one of the first depots in India which is completely ESG compliant. And it has been awarded second rank in the world. The first went to Australia. The second was this depot. So I think as we speak, we are transitioning.
Great. So as long as progress is being made, we should be happy. So actually, I'm going to redirect this question to Alpesh, because in the previous panel also you mentioned on the green initiatives. Now, ports are one of the biggest, if I can use the word, carbon footprints, and they really have to take some great initiatives to offset the same. And you mentioned that JM Baxi has been doing some innovative work on that. So could you comment on that, please, and further elaborate on it?
Yeah, so I think the data is wrong. Terminals are not the largest contributors to
aviation.
Yes.
Yes.
Transportation.
Transportation.
Yes. So if you look at the terminals, today the terminals, because we are connected with shipping, and shipping is already controlled by very strict norms for pollutions, for migrating to fuels, So we have in the chain of logistics, I think logistics will be one of the first ones to move forward, because as we are moving, there is a need for sustainable logistics, right? People are, corporates, businesses are becoming responsible. So if you talk to organizations, they really have started to count the carbon footprint of every product, the carbon footprint of every delivery, the carbon footprint of every movement. So it's a process which has started. It is there. Going forward, you will see yourself the amount of air travel you do in a year, what is the carbon footprint that you generate as an individual. So this whole process is there, and we all have started our own journey collectively, separately, to start working towards a better and sustainable future. So if you look at JM Baxi, we all across our terminals, we have actually stopped using any equipment that is driven by diesel. So if you look at our RTGs, we have electrified them. Cranes are electrified. We have started even using reach stackers and side loaders, which are electric. The small vehicles that we use inside the terminals, they are electric. We are one of the first terminal operators, and I can say it with very strong conviction. We have ordered 1,000 electric trucks, which have already been ordered. Nearly 200 of them are already on ground. As we speak, 2 weeks ago, Nitin Gadkari ji was personally there to inaugurate our 100 trucks in Delhi. So we are looking at electricity because, again, even if you look from India point of view, right, the only thing that India needs today and the thing that we don't have is fuel, right? We are importing oil, and that is one thing that is also a hindrance for us as we move forward to being a powerhouse. And if you look at the journey that India is, the government, the corporates, we are all trying to make sure that we somehow reduce the usage of fossil fuel, which is both from commercial as well as from sustainability point of view. Sustainability actually becomes a byproduct of what we are trying to do, because we actually are in a place where we need so much of fossil fuel to generate this growth of 8-9% that we are today looking at. And everywhere you see around, if you talk to Tuticorin, they are putting their own solar plants, CFSs, depots are doing their own stuff. We are doing our own thing. So there is a lot of things happening for energy. Water recycling is another thing that we do. So we are very conscious of water. So we're trying to have our own sewage treatment plants in the places. Whatever water conservation things we can do, we have, even when we have canteens, we are doing recycling. We are trying to get, stuff to be recycled. So there is a lot of effort going in, and I think the commitment is there. And I think as corporates, we all have understood that this is not something which you do and say sustainability or it is this. It is the need of an hour. I think if you need to move, you will have to be conscious, otherwise it's going to come and bite you. So from that angle, I think the consciousness is coming. People are getting more aware. The government support is immense. And I think, just to add something that you said, that, we have a couple of platforms which are not integrating. We have things. So, in a lighter way, when you travel, you see humanity has still not been able to figure out what is the plug point that we should use, which is the simplest thing of all. Every country that you go, they have their own plug, right? Electricity plug where you have to go and do. So every time you land up somewhere, you have to, 3 o'clock in the morning, you have to start figuring out, now how do I connect my phone? How do I connect this? They have, so humanity, when they can't even think of such simple thing, for 1.4 billion people to quickly jump, and I think you mentioned it, you forgot to mention languages, the number of languages that we have. So I think the platforms also that you mentioned, I'm jumping out of the sequence, but it will have to be platforms talking to platforms, because people will prefer their own platform. Somebody likes Android, somebody likes Apple. So it is there, but I'm a very firm believer, and I am very positive, whether it is Gati Shakti and whatever we talked about. Gati Shakti, it was supposed to be 100 locations. I think we have 112. Correct? We do have a few locations which are Gati Shakti terminals. So overall, if you see, we are in a good place, whether it's sustainability, whether it's growth. It will take some time for us to reach that inflection point from where it starts climbing like that. But I can sense it is not so far.
So we're heading in the right direction, that's for sure.
We are.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks. My next question is to Devak. We mentioned in the beginning as well that I think our industry's true worth was shown or highlighted during COVID, when we kept the wheels of the nation churning, and it would have been otherwise a disaster of the ice making. So supply chain resilience and risk management is a very, very contentious topic. What are your views on that? How good is India in this department? What can we do to improvise on the same?
Good evening, everyone. I would like to first thank India's Sea Trade for giving me an opportunity to be part of such a good audience, and also big people of Gujarat shipping and logistics. And just to get into the topic, I would like to say that we are going through one of the most transformative times as far as supply chain resilience is concerned. Because if you look at what we were 5 years back when we were fighting first the COVID pandemic to all kinds of geopolitical issues to trade wars, nobody was prepared for it. We learned it while being there. But I think the way things are moving now, we are into more predictive. People are using supply chain resilience as a major step in their boardrooms discussions, because I think the only way forward is to be able to predict, to have visibility, to adapt to new technologies, to make sure that our logistics moves with least amount of disruptions. I would like to also say that if you look at the way government has also been very supportive, one of the major reasons for us to bounce back while the whole global supply chain situation was bad, India could adapt very fast. And one of the reasons why we could adapt fast was not only the private players like the MSMEs and the logistic people, even the government took a lot of initiative. If you remember, during COVID, we had essential pass, which made seamless transportation moving essential commodities. They did not stop there, that movement. I think I would like to differ from the other panelists. I think the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan was probably one of the initiatives to bring in all the relevant ministries to make things more speedy, faster, because we were actually sitting on infra projects and things were not happening. So the idea was to connect all the relevant ministries, bring them together and, kind of make it fast. And most of it was all multimodal infra projects. If you look at national logistics policy, the whole idea behind that was to bring down the logistics cost and also make it more competitive, world over, global logistics. And things are actually changing. If you look at the logistics performance index, India has moved to 38th position from where we were earlier, 44. So there is things happening, and even ULIP, I think the interface which is created where you have APIs to get connected between private and government bodies. It's a very unique system. While, see, I am based in Delhi, so I have a privy to a lot of these because we get, as association stakeholders, we get invited for these meetings from the government side. And we have seen there are so many developments which is happening. So in a nutshell, I would say the government is actually done a lot of initiatives to make sure that we don't get into that kind of a problem again. And from the private side, I think there has been a huge investment in technology by the organizations. People are, using artificial intelligence for, for basically demand forecasting. They are looking at, using cloud platforms for warehousing management. We are looking at also people are using IoT for tracking and visibility, because that's one of the other areas. So I think overall, the supply chain resilience, if you look at it from what we were in 2021, today with the tariff war and even cross-border tensions that we've had, the impact has not been so much as what other countries would have gone through, because we are kind of quite there and well prepared. That's what I feel.
Thanks, Dev. My next question is actually to Alpesh, since you are in that field. There is, of course, one of the innovations or one of the ways to improve logistics is public-private partnership between the government and private players. You are a key player in that, example being with the Tuticorin and Port. What is your view on this model of public-private partnership? How is it going, and where do you think, is there any room to speed it up or improvise, or are we going along fine? What's your view on that?
Thanks. Yeah. So, as JM Baxi, we are, included in the PPP thing. All the terminal projects that we have are major ports and PPP projects. So in my view, I think the PPP model is something which has come to that inflection point that we were talking about. And you and me have been in these discussions before that, given 2012, 2011, when TAMP was there, we all were struggling. Nhava Sheva had 3 TAMP tariffs. We were struggling with this. There were court cases happening. There was confusions all over how to price, how to do this. And over the period of time, I think we have come across all these hassles in a sorted out way. While we are talking today, I think we are just a few days away from having a free pricing policy coming up for all these TAMP policies that we had, which actually means that the terminals will be now free to price as per the market, as per the thing. So it's a very big move. When I look back 15 years ago when you and I talked about it and we said, is it ever going to be free pricing for terminals? We thought no. But it is coming to that point. So PPP actually has reached that point of inflection from where you see the growth going like this, but it will start going up in a certain way. If you looked at PPP 20 years ago, the government and the private, the relationship was stagnated at a point where the government said, whatever I do is correct, all the risk is on you, you have to manage, you have to make me full, and you take the risk. From that moment to now, I think the relationships have moved. You just heard the Tuticorin team here, and you will be meeting the Kandla port team in the evening. It has become an amazing relationship. I walk into them, we bring in the issues. Rahul Modi is sitting here, National Shipping Board, they have issues with coastal, they can just come and talk to the chairman. We talk about the issue, this is the problem, these are the 3 solutions. In 20 minutes, we can agree. So there is a customer, there is a terminal operator, and then there is a landlord port, right? And 3 of us can sit, and in 1 hour we can take a decision which was unthinkable maybe a decade ago. So I'm very positive. I think it is in the right direction. Can we do things to make it faster? Obviously we can. And however, the need for speed in the PPP is already there. It is driving. All the ports are becoming competitive. Everybody wants to get cargo. They want to facilitate trade. They want to facilitate how and what they can do to move business. So in my view, I think we are at the right place. It is moving at the right direction. Government is aligned. The terminal operators are aligned. The ministries are aligned. And any forum that you go and you talk about these issues, you really come out feeling very nice that, it's moving.
Yeah, I think the government is thinking like a businessman now, and that's the key thing.
Exactly. I think the government has started thinking like a businessman. All the ports are thinking the same. The government offices have started to understand that facilitate trade and also be a business person, right? So they understand the pain.
I always said that this is the first government, I'm not saying it because I'm in a public forum, but this is the first government in India's independent history that has given recognition over the last 10, 15 years to our industry. Previously, no one understood the meaning or the importance of logistics and shipping. So I think we have come a long way from where we were. But there are past legacies which have to be rectified, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So just a simple example, if you looked at the shipping laws, which were changed, I think last year?
Last year, yes.
The shipping laws were 150 years old. Yes. The book which had the shipping laws was 150 years old and the laws had not been changed. If you went into the shipping laws, you would still find penalty of 3 rupees, penalty of 1 rupee for some issues that were there, because they were 150 years old.
So I think in one public forum, Gadkariji had said that when he was in charge of the ministry, that when someone came in, he said, "Pehle ye kaam karo, ye book lo aur dustbin ke andar fek do." It's irrelevant now.
Exactly.
Now start framing the laws again, that sort of thing. So I think we have come a long way to that.
We have. And if any of you were last week in Bombay and you attended the India Maritime Week, you would really be proud to see an event on maritime of that scale. The scale was unimaginable. Narendra Modi ji was himself there, Amit Shah ji was there, Each and every ministry was there. Each and every port was representing what they have. Each and every shipping line, customers, it was nice. I had seen something like this in China maybe 10 years ago, and I used to always feel, when will we hit this point where we can showcase our capabilities? It was good to see foreigners coming there to see and put their wares on the table and say, hey, India maritime industry, we have these things for you. It was nice. It was a 6-day affair. It was mind-blowing. It was, you were there, you saw that, right? It was a very proud moment for us.
Proud moment, and I think I've never seen a Prime Minister, he has attended several coming for our kind of events, our industry events. So thank you, thanks. My next question is to Aqil, and then I'm going to ask a couple of more people on that. We have a very big workforce. I mean, few 100 million, whatever, out of the 1.2 billion population that we have. But we have lacked, but we are making strides in skilled workforce. And again, I'm saying this not because I'm in a public forum, but this is the first government which has first time that has made emphasis on skill development. Previously, this was an unknown term, actually. So what's your view on our industry and the skill development needed? What are the initiatives we should take? What have actually taken place right now? Any views on that?
Yeah, like earlier sessions, right? We've been hearing this, right? Like how logistics as a subject is now more apparent in colleges, and there are a lot of logistics schools now, like exclusive logistics schools. Given that, the kind of exposure I have with these students, like we get students from these colleges, one of the biggest challenges we face is there is still an attitude gap, not the aptitude. Aptitude it's not rocket science, right? We're not building rockets. But the problem is, like let's say we hire quite a lot from south of India, like we majorly operate there. And these colleges, where these students get into, they basically rush through textbooks or just these logistics terms or vocabulary, and then when they come to work, they probably don't understand how a simple warehouse operates, how loading happens, unloading happens, how to behave with the driver, how to behave with the loader, unloader, whoever, like with the customer. So these things is a big challenge for us, what we have seen in practice. So and one of the things I keep telling the professors or the deans of these schools we hire from is, please tell them you're not going to sit in an ivory tower and then become a logistician. You have to get on to the ground, understand what's happening there. Whatever the climate weather is, then you have to go through it. You have to face it. And then, over time, whenever you're ready to sit in ivory towers a little bit, still, not full time, you probably get a chance to do it. But the first thing I tell them is to stop making them wear blazers. Right? It's very hot in south of India. And then you make it look very shiny, and then they come to us, they expect that sort of a polish sort of an environment in logistics, which is not the case at all. You just can't just simply have polished English and get into logistics. That's not that's not how the industry is. So that's one gap I see. And then second thing is, second thing we emphasize a lot is interdisciplinary understanding of how things work, right? So if you're an operator, you have to understand when you deliver any value through operations, what is the cost to it? Like how does it impact the cost? How does it impact data? So I'm doing something, then do I contribute to the data value chain. Like, so I'm asked to do, use, because we have seen, like, operators on ground, they're very, very good at operating it. And when you give them a technology, a platform, and they just completely ignore it, right? And so there's a gap, like, so it's just that they don't, it's just that they think it's not of importance, right? Like they don't sometimes understand, I don't know how, like if I use the term, the importance of something like a master data management, right? Like, like how do you, so when we ask someone to onboard a vendor, a lorry, a simple truck, they just sort of do it so lethargically, and then you end up, having a lot of duplications, a lot of other issues, like these sort of simple things, So I think there needs to be a more integrated, interdisciplinary sort of skilling that's needed.
Yeah. So actually I was going to say that, in the past, at least now you have educated people coming in, qualified people for our industry. In the past, during our father's time, or when we entered business and everything was, if the person was not having any other career option, usko shipping mein dal do, wo to seekh lega apne aap. And that's how we build. It's commendable. I'm not being derogatory at all, but today at least we have the concept of, logistics and shipping degrees. True. In 1997-98, I did my MSc International Shipping in Plymouth, UK. I did not know the word of logistics. There was an unknown term at that time in 97. And we had these Dutch guys come to our school and they said they're doing their MSc in logistics. I remember calling up my father and saying, "Ye logistics kya hai?" The father saying, "Chhod, isko to shipping hi kar yaar." I mean, like, what is logistics? So you see, today we had no concept. From that we have come to so far in the last 15, 20 years of dedicated courses you have of symbiosis, and so many universities are coming, and logistics is a career choice now. So I think that's been a commendable thing and a transformation last 15, 20 years. I mean, you run a CFS. What is your, what are you doing to develop a lot of workforces needed, qualified workforce. So are you having training programs? Are you skilling them in particular aspects, because it's a technical thing? The CFS operation is not easy. Any comments on that?
I mean, there are multiple schools in Gujarat as we speak who train people for various logistics programs. So we get advantage, like you said, times have changed. At one point there's an argument there's lack of skilled workforce, but there's also a lot of influx of youngsters who are, well versed with logistics and the different verticals of it. Of course, being a remote location like Mundra, we do find it difficult to have, skilled and, trained manpower. But I think as times change, as the volume increases, as the port grows, as the ecosystem grows around the port, I think these things will change.
Mundra definitely needs much more skilled workforce. Yeah. I agree with that.
But I would like to add one point regarding, in the previous session, Mr. Das Gupta, he mentioned that right now, Kandla Mundra, we handle more than 40% of the overall volumes. And he rightly addressed that the road connectivity which is required for such two huge ports, and there's one more coming now. There's one more point which we need to understand is that in Europe, 40% of goods move by road, whereas in India, it's more than 70%.
80.
Yeah, it could be 80. So we are putting a lot of burden on the infra. We need to think about modal shift. We need to move away from road. We need to move to rail. There have been discussions, of course, with rail the DFC coming.
Rail and waterways as well.
Yeah, and the waterways, of course. So I think as we move in that direction, we are again moving towards sustainability.
Good, thank you. So now, I think, thank you very much. Just come to the last question, which is, and we are well within schedule, but I'm going to ask each and every one for a snapshot on it. And the most contentious question of all is, and we constantly are being berated on it about our logistics cost. It is decreasing, but the government would like us to do more. And I would like, starting from there, if you could give your view on India's vision and how we can reduce the logistics cost to bring it well under 8%. There are so many figures being bandied about, from 14, 16 to 8, 12 to 10. So I think now the government has officially declared between 10 and 12% at any given time. But how to bring it into single digits, and how do we fare against countries like Singapore, Netherlands? Of course, the geographies are very different and the dynamics are very different, but still. So each one should give a quick snapshot of their view before we throw open for the Q&A session. Please, go ahead.
So the first thing is, I think when this whole thing about GDP relation, the cost of 13% or 14% was discussed, we as an association, we had said that this can't be right, and the study further, which was done by, NCAER, which is National Council for Advanced Economic Reforms, way back in 2019 had indicated that the cost is about 8.9%. Their latest study, which is in 2023, they have said that it is about anything between 7.8 to 8.8%. That's the range. So I think we are already there. If you are talking about the developed economies, they are at 6, 7. So if you have to further bring down the cost, then the efficiencies has to be there on the mode of operations. One of them would be rail operations, which is predominantly not used, mostly coastal, which is unexplored still, I feel. That will all bring down the cost further. Another area that people should look at is possibly using green logistics, which might actually result in bringing down the cost. So I think at this point of time, the way things are progressing, it should come down on its own natural course.
Yash, over to you, please.
In fact, this is a very fantastic question. The reason being, all the points that we spoke about are actually going to, it's going to be a summary of everything
It's
here.
a precursor to this.
Of course.
Absolutely.
So in fact, talking about it, see, when it comes to the India's decreasing of, the overall logistics cost, of course, when you deploy better infrastructure, when you deploy the new transformations, the new technology, all right, so the efficiency level increases by every move. So, of course, it's bound to happen. Thanks. I mean, they've already covered a lot of points that I had in my mind.
Yeah, thanks. Jeekshith?
Yeah, so for me, I feel it's the focus on multimodal logistic. Because it's been a while that we have thought about movement of goods right from the production segment all the way to the seaport. So I think India has to now focus on how the commodity is moving and how cost effectively it is moving. So the key aspect remains, like Yash rightly said, the point that on which I spoke earlier, the combination of Gati Shakti, MMLP, and the synergy of the freight corridors along with the inland terminals and seaport. Secondly, I think it's very important if we have to bring the numbers further down, the target like we discussed less than 8. I think the key word is innovate. We have to focus on AI. Because that will give us the push, and European countries are already looking at it. You can even talk of IoT into the wagons, to improve the productivity. You can also talk about the paperless logistics. So I feel these are the things, that has to all work together. Unless all of this do not come together, it will be a little difficult for us to pull these numbers. But I feel, like Captain Saab rightly said, the great thing about this government is at least the vision is there, and they are speaking about their vision loudly, and it is reaching every year. And I think that's what will bring the change into the thought process as well as the things that are happening on ground. So I feel, yeah, these are the things that must be worked upon. And if you allow me, Xerrxes, one small thing I wanted to touch upon in the last segment about the skilled manpower. What Aqil told, since we have time, I can see, I hope it's not a problem.
But as good logisticians, we have to finish before time.
Of course. I won't stress this long. Yeah, sorry?
Just in time. Jit.
Yeah,
He's right.
perfect. So, Aqil, you spoke about colleges. You spoke about, the thought process of the students. Okay. Now, a simple example of my own. I come from a merchant navy background, like I told you earlier. So, I did my 2 years of college. First year was in Chennai. Second year was in Glasgow, Scotland. So when I was doing my education in pertaining to merchant navy, of course, in Chennai, every exam, the questions, the answers had to be very precise, word by word. Only then will I score. Okay. The moment I went to UK, the answers were about the logic. Have you understood the question well? And frame the answer the way you want it, but the logic should be understood. Now, this brought in a bigger change. I could understand the subject, what you said, no? That they pass, but when they come to the real game, real world, they fail. Now, this is what is the perception change. I'm not saying this is how it should be done. I'm just throwing in a perception. I think this is one of the important things in terms of the differences. Thank you.
Thanks. Before I move on to Alpesh for the same question, I think one aspect of the cost of logistics is that multimodalism. We still are too dependent on road transport. I think if we promote the other modes of transport, bring about an equitable distribution, especially we are blessed with one of the largest coastlines in the world, largest inland waterways, we have it all. If we have to promote it in a very precise manner and bring about a seamless connectivity, I think that will be the biggest game changer for bringing down the logistics cost. Alpesh, would you like to give your views on it, please? Reduction of logistic costs, and then you can also talk on the initiative you have done on the training, please.
So, if you look at, I think apart from what we talked about, I think one more word that I think in logistic cost is collaboration. I think there is a need where collaboration has to happen. So if you look at the last few years, say 15, 20 years ago, and I keep going back 20 years ago, and I think I am that school where you said if the son doesn't do something, put him to sea. So I am of that generation. So 20 years ago, there was congestion of capacities, congestions led to inefficiencies, congestion led to delays, and then we started building up facilities pan-India, right? We as a country, right? We started building up capacities. So now capacities have come up on the port side. Then the roadblock is inland. Then we started building inland. Private started doing their bit, government started doing their bit, and then you started seeing Gati Shakti, MMLPs and all this stuff happening. So that started happening. Transportation by roads, the standard of roads, the quality of roads needed upgrade. And then rail happened, right? If you look at 5 years, in the last 5 years, 700 rakes have been added to the fleet of container movement, 700. We have a small amount, 40, 45, but yeah, overall Concor has been a leader and every big name has contributed to that. So that also brought in a change. The cargo movement became faster, collaborations started. Now we have come to a point where there are capacities. The load balancing has to happen, correct? There are terminals, there are rails, there are ICDs, there are facilities, there are operators. There is every big name in the industry sitting in India. Now collaboration has to happen to further take it to the next level. And I think that is something which is happening. It will just keep increasing. And I think we are on the right track. If I look at it, we are on the right track.
Absolutely, absolutely. Would you like to, before we conclude and move on, would you like to comment on the initiative you have taken for the ladies in training in the ports? Yes.
So I think at Baxi we are very proud of experiment or a project that we did in Tuticorin. We were putting up a new terminal, brand new terminal, and we said we are going to make this terminal a pro-female terminal where we'll try and see how we can get women into the terminal business. All of you are aware of this business. You'll realize this is a very male-dominated industry. The crane operators, the drivers, everything is men. Women are there. They will be in the office. They'll be in finance. They'll be in HR. So when we started this terminal construction, side by side, we hired young girls from Tuticorin. We took them to Vizag. In Visakhapatnam, we have 2 terminals. We set up our own institute. We call it VIPM, Visakha Institute of Port Management. We got simulators. And for 2 years, we trained these girls on the simulators first and then live on the cranes. And when the terminal started, we moved these girls back to Tuticorin. So if you come to Tuticorin, you'll be surprised. All these young girls there, my daughter is 22. They all look the same age as my daughter. And sometimes when I go there, I actually look at them and ask, you're such a small girl and look at this big crane that you're running, right? How, it's a mismatch. But effort has to be put and things can happen. And my direction and I think the vision that we have is the Tuticorin, we want to try to see whether we can make it 100% female. So I'm lucky none of my colleagues who are male are here, otherwise they would worry that they're losing a job. But Tuticorin, we're trying to do this. So all of us are putting our own efforts. I think we will have to develop those skills that we want because there is no place still in India which trains a crane operator for a port operation or an RTG operator or specifics that we would have, even reach stackers, side loaders. So we will have to develop and we are doing that. Internally, we have our own institute. Very soon we'll be putting a simulator in Kandla to try and see whether we can get local younger population to come in and do this activity. So efforts are on.
Truly commendable, truly commendable. Hardik, would you like to now comment on the logistic costs and the initiatives thereof?
I think most of the points have been covered by here on the panel. So just I would like to summarize that the combination of modal shift from road to rail, from road to coastal is one of the most pertinent ones. And I think that in its full scope will be enough to pull the costs down. The amount of volumes which move, like we had VOC people here, the amount of volumes which are moving from Kandla to Tuticorin. So the more coastal and rail is promoted, the more end-to-end infra and the first mile and last mile connectivity issues are resolved. I think we are in the direction of bringing the cost down.
Fantastic. Thank you. Aqil, last bite from you.
Yeah, this is, to me, this is a very complex topic, honestly, because we deal with a lot of last mile. So I always wonder, right, if cost reduction is it even our priority, actually, right? Because we talk about like the first mile, the mid mile and stuff. Yeah, I think this is where, we think the optimization is, the ROI for optimization is more, it is there, but I think more than this, the last bit of it is where the major cost is. And then when you talk about sustainability as consumers, if convenience is our priority, and if we keep pushing for quick commerce and these things, and then we'll never reach this cost, like this 13 or 14 to further down, because I see it increasing. I see our customers spending more and more to compete with B2C companies. And what I've seen is over the past 6, 7 years, we've seen our customers' costs increasing for sure. And especially last mile.
It's not something people would like to hear, but okay.
Yeah, it is. And second cause is, I mean, like Sir mentioned earlier, definitely collaboration is one key thing that's needed. We see it lacking. For example, I'll tell you, one of the first things when we started building PTL networks, is I asked a couple of existing players, would you, I'm trying to build a PTL network, would it help for you to share our mid-mile? Right? If you have space, I'll use yours. If I have space, use mine. And then there's a reluctance, right? I mean, there's a competitor. Yeah. Because I don't see them as competitor because we still need a lot of organized players. And second thing, I mean, collaboration is one thing. Second thing is extremely poor planning, right? I mean, even within the organization, what I've seen is, we somehow, because of customer urgencies and just how things work in these warehouses, we just execute every order like cluelessly, right? I mean, we just, whatever comes in, we just execute, because there's a sales team putting pressure on you in 3PL, right, on behalf of the customer, and then you just simply keep executing, right? And then when you execute it like that, what happens is, to the end point also, their expectation goes up, right? And then there's no planning, then there's no further optimization, because now your entire stuff is completely, colluded or whatever, right? And this is where, what we are talking about right now is, how do you ensure you plan anything before you execute? Just plan it, right? Don't execute randomly. Just plan.
Very important point. Planning
right.
is...
And so much that as we are building our platform, we're trying to slowly evolve ourselves into an IBP, like we call it integrated business plan, right? Can you help our customers plan better, not just us, so that we can plan better, right? Our vendors, can our vendors plan better, so that we can also plan better. So I think we are far, far away from the actual use of AI, because very far, honestly, I mean, if you call LLM AI, yes, we can use it every day. I don't call LLM as the true enterprise sort of a value-based sort of AI solution yet. For that, we have a long way to go. We have a long way in terms of true awareness. It's not just that we're not aware of things. We're not trying to unlock our awareness. We're not thinking. We're always operating, right? We're always executing.
We're in a system. Very true, very true. That's something. So, thank you very much. I think as true multimodal transport operators and logisticians, you have finished 10 minutes before time. Thank you very much. A huge round of applause to our panelists, please, for a very, very interesting and thought-provoking session. The floor is open in case anyone has questions for them. And otherwise, we can move on to the next session, please. Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead, sir. If you could come forward.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, I'm Aditya from Globus. I just have a question, or rather I would like your insights on energy sustainability. A lot of stakeholders are shifting to electric vehicles. What I want to know is that electric vehicles are mostly run on lithium-ion batteries. And India doesn't have its own lithium. It's more or less dependent on China alone as of now. So going by geopolitics, one day China stands up and says, hello, stop it. No more lithium to India. Then where do we go?
Yes. Since Alpesh is a stakeholder, let's hear his views on that. Yeah.
I think, geopolitical aside, China, the way we all should understand China, and this, at least the way I understand China is, they are businessmen, right? If he says, my time is over? No, so if they say no lithium to India, then what are they going to do with all these EVs that they are making? 1.4 billion people they want to sell. The market that is waiting for them is India, right? So we are, even if you look at Mahindra, even if you look at all the Indian automotive guys, right? I remember I saw one interview of Anand Mahindra and they asked him the same question that you are asking today. And he said, I'm not going to spend my time trying to learn how to make an efficient battery. China has done it better and faster and cheaper. So I will collaborate. So if you look at Mahindra, the car is made in India, the batteries are from China, and he openly admits that because we don't have the base, we are really not the right people to do. And this is where I come to the word collaborate. I think this fear is there, but the fear is, the percentage of fear we'll have to, because you have to do risk management, right? End of the day, today China is already struggling with the sale. What China is a global factory. They will only survive when people will buy. So the risk that we have to accept is that we don't have, today you are looking at fuel. If the world decides to not give fuel to India for some geopolitical reason, the country will be dark, right? So from that angle, I think we will put our money and say it should be there unless somebody comes out with a better solution. But we still need to drive this whole thing, and we cannot wait for sustainability to be driven because we don't have lithium. I think this is my take.
Absolutely.
But very personal,
And we are a customer, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's market conditions. Any other questions, please? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please. And then the gentleman behind as well. It's interesting. That means he must have made some impact with people asking questions.
I'm Veer Singh from Globus. Sir, I have a question that we are talking about the things which are mainly going on the AC office and other things. We are not mainly talking about that things which are going under the, out of the CFS, in the CFSs and out of the offices. Mainly we are suffering a problem every time, not a single time, issue of the laborers and drivers. Main thing is this. In every state don't know that government are doing to produce the drivers or. Because every transporter has if they have 100 vehicles, 80% vehicles are running, 20%, every transporter has a help.
So what's your question, sir?
Question is that mainly that when the movements goes down, जब कोई CFS जब movement down हो जाता है, मान लो ड्राइवर चली जाते हैं, that time हम क्या करें?
I think CFS operator.
और बेसिकली क्या है, ये नॉट इवन ए सिंगल CFS, सब CFS में ये है.
करेक्ट.
अनदर थिंग ये है कि किसी भी CFS के पास में लेबर मैनेजमेंट का कुछ नहीं है. दे ऑल आर गिवन टू द थर्ड पार्टीज एंड लेबर एवरी टाइम दे आर सेम प्रॉब्लम. Have not live there, raise your hand. हमारे पास हमारे हाथ में कुछ नहीं है.
I think I'll answer your question, but this is not a CFS grievance forum. We are just I'll just address this topic that by nature, I mean, there are times when there is a labor crisis and there is driver crisis. I mean, we all understand that there are other CFS players also, and I think they agree with that.
Sir, this is the basic things. When आपका transporting charge बढ़ जाएगा.
So I'll tell you this. No driver's son wants to become a driver. No labor's son wants to become a labor. We are moving in a direction where we are going to face even higher crunch than we are facing right now. So we need to move towards packaging which is palletized. We need to move towards packaging which can be handled without labors like other countries are doing. So I think this is your answer.
So 80% of cargo आपका bags में आ रहा है. 80% ऑफ कार्गो आपका बैग्स में आ रहा है, फिर क्या करेंगे?
सर, आज की तारीख में आपको पहले तो खुश होना चाहिए बहुत ज़्यादा कि आपका देश तरक्की कर रहा है. और आज की तारीख में जैसे ये शॉर्टेज आती है, आपका पेन जो है, आपका पेन है, मेरा भी पेन है. मैं भी पोर्ट चलाता हूँ, इनके भी CFS चल रहे हैं, जो भी यहाँ पे हैं. बट एक चीज़ है सर, देश बढ़ रहा है सर. जो इन्होंने बोला, ये प्रॉब्लम आएगी. आज आप यूरोप में जाएंगे, आप सुनिए सर. This is a problem. It is not about a CFS. It is not about an industry. It is about how a nation is moving forward. and how some jobs are not preferred anymore. So looking at that, everybody is going to put their own efforts, right? CFSs are now hiring their own people, they are training their own people, we are training our own people. But इसका कोई एक आंसर नहीं है. ये प्रॉब्लम यहाँ की नहीं है, ये प्रॉब्लम पैन इंडिया है. ये प्रॉब्लम आज पहले ज़माने में दूसरे स्टेट से लोग आके दूसरे स्टेट में काम करते थे क्योंकि उनके स्टेट्स में रोज़गार नहीं था. आज उनके स्टेट्स में रोज़गार है. कोविड ने ये सिखाया कि गो बैक होम. ये जो ऑफ शोरिंग, नियर शोरिंग, बिजनेसेस ने भी सीखा कि भाई हमको इतनी दूर दूर से चीज़ें लाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. सो ये प्रॉब्लम है. आई डोंट थिंक एट दिस फोरम वी हैव एन आंसर टू दिस. I don't think any of us there. I think Sandeep wants to say something.
No, but this is the price of progress.
Yeah, this is the price of progress. But Sandeep is a
I think there's a
guy
another
who knows
gentleman.
the
Yeah,
stuff.
please, Sandeep, and then there's another gentleman there. We can close then.
I think Sandeep wants to answer him.
Not answer him, but share my views. See, basically what is happening is, you may be running a CFS, but the CFSs are there for almost like last 25 years. And this shortage of labor has been witnessed every year. The unfortunate part is that the laborers in our place come from other states, where Captain Alpesh exactly said that because of new developments, change in government, lot of opportunities are coming there. He also said the driver's son will never become a driver. So we will have to now start looking into the options, how we can plan the shipments mechanically. We will not want to depend on the laborers for always. See, I'll give you an example. Kandla port has a norm of 3,000 tons per day, but they are loading about 25,000 tons a day today. How is it possible? Because they got the conveyor belt, they got mobile harbor cranes, they got a lot of automation in that. So depending on the laborers and just waiting for the government to bring laborers for us or produce the drivers for us is not going to help. So this is the thing that has been discussed since afternoon. We were discussing that how to optimize the capacity, how to ensure that we reach our productivity. We will have to obviously put in our efforts in bringing in innovation, adaptation and a lot of other things.
Thank
Sir,
you, sir. Thank you.
we have to close this now, sir. We are running short of time. I'm very sorry. Some other gentleman, last question we can take, if you don't mind, madam. He has
Sure.
patiently waited, and then we can wrap up.
Good evening, everyone. I am CA Sumit Singhania, and here I am representing my company, Nisha Roadways. I am a CFO in this company. This is a family company, and I would agree to what Captain Sharma said, and most of the panelists referred today about the problem of manpower in all our business. See, the way India is growing, yes, we all need to agree that apna business every day will also increase. But see, we humans have a tendency of just blaming and just sitting and talking on problems. We always talk that we need good manpower. But are we really doing something to create good manpower? What kind of budget you are allocating in your business to develop this manpower? So we are not doing actually, and we are just have the habit of crying and talking about these issues. See, at Nisha Roadways, I would like to give an example. As Captain Sharma said, we have developed an in-house academy. We have a Nisha Training Academy. So what we have done, that every year we employ at least 20 young students who want to take logistics as a career. And we have developed a system of giving them a 50-hour training. These guys, they will have to take compulsory 50 hours training at our academy. And this training is not given by anyone. This training is given by we ourselves as CFOs, as stakeholders in the company. We take almost 1 or 2 hours every week and train these guys. We know because the time that we are investing today, these people will actually going to help our business in the long run. So I personally feel that the skilled manpower force can only come by our own training, and we cannot be dependent on third-party institutions. Thank you.
Very true, very true. And I think to comment, just we have finished right in time with 42 seconds to spare, just in time. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir. So, once again, can we have a loud round of applause for this entire panel? Any discussion is only as successful as how much the participants are involved in it, and this interaction just proves how successful this panel discussion was. And before we wrap it up, I'd like to invite on stage Mrs. Asha Ajay Nair, Director, Win Asia Maritime, to kindly come on stage and hand over a memento to our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome her on stage. And if I'm not wrong, she is the only other woman on stage apart from me. So I think she deserves a loud round of applause. Welcome, ma'am. And to receive the memento, I'd like to first welcome forward Mr. Aqil Ashique, CEO, Driver Logistics. Thank you so much for joining, Aqil Ashique. And I request you to please pause for a photograph. Mr. Hardik Thacker, Director, Ashuthosh CFS Private Limited. Thank you so much for joining us. Now over to Captain Alpesh Sharma, Chief Operating Officer, JM Baxi Ports and Terminal. Thank you so much for your presence and your insights, sir. Mr. Devpal Menon, Vice President, AMTOI and Director, Mercargo Logistics Private Limited. Thank you so much for your presence, sir. Next, Mr. Yash, Radia, Director, MPRS Group of Companies. Request you to please take center stage while posing for photographs. Thank you. Over to Mr. Jeekshith Shetty, Managing Director, Bhavani Shipping Services Private Limited. Thank you so much. Thank you for your presence. And of course, let's give a loud round of applause as I invite Mr. Xerrxes Master, Managing Director of Master Group of Companies, who chaired this session wonderfully well and helping us wind up and wrap up on time. Thank you so much. Ma'am, may I request you to please pose for a quick photograph with the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud round of applause. That is our business panel session number 2 of this Global Freight Forum by India Sea Trade. Thank you so much.